Africa, historically, sub-Saharan Africa, has been fundamental to the global prosperity of the advanced countries. And Africa had a role to play. It has a role as a raw material producer. We will not allow sub-Saharan Africa to escape that. Okay, we do everything to keep sub-Saharan Africa where it is, also impoverished. It's absolutely vital for the prosperity of everyone else. So let's get clear about that. It doesn't mean to say that there's nothing Africans can do. Of course there is. This is what it's about. Because if Africa does do something different, I assure you living standards of all those in Europe and North America and Asia is going to fall. Okay? And that is a big price to pay. I assure you that the West is not going to allow that without a big fight.
The United States and France are determined to do to Captain Traoré what they did to so many others. In Burkina Faso, to the great Thomas Sankara, in the Congo, to the great Patrice Lumumba, and so many other leaders that they have dispensed with extreme prejudice because their own interests were threatened by an African leader who's actually governing in the interests of his own people and not of the empire.
About Ibrahim, how he's supposedly using the gold reserves to provide his own private security. And let me just say, first of all, that's not true. Second of all, if it was true, let's be honest, wouldn't it be somewhat justified considering the fact that they continue to make attempts on his life? I mean, they just recently made another failed attempt on his life. That's probably why they're upset and why they're now going out of their way to bring it to the attention of the national public, to try and create this narrative, not unlike what we saw happen with Libya and Gaddafi, because Ibrahim has had that type of impact in West Africa when we're talking about not only uplifting Burkina Faso, but then uniting West African countries like Mali and Niger so that they can combat Western imperialism and the NATO allies that try to oppress them.
The solution is not to take Africans and move them to Europe. The solution is to free Africa from certain Europeans who exploit it and allow these people to live off what they have. This is called the CFA franc, a colonial currency that France prints for 14 African nations, and by virtue of which it exploits the resources of this nation.